I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
Hey, how about the third talking point where we have how confident are we heading into the season, right? So the Chelsea 2019-2020 preseason played 7, won 4, drew 2, lost 1, goals for 18, but goals against 11 for a difference of +7. So the question we posed on Twitter to everybody was, how confident do you feel heading into the start of the season, more or less than preseason kicked off? Dan, since you posed this question, run us through some of the responses we got, and then you can lead us into your own personal.
Yeah, sure. There were some who were talking about how our defense needs more work. At SEK Boateng, we saw Brogy 62, more or less, more about the offense, less about the defense. There was Ashley Bryan, who was talking about how she's more confident after the start of the season. Preseason got underway. Suleiman Nashudad was talking about how they were confident. Frank's given us a reason to be, needs work, but not enough reason to sulk in it, which I thought was nice. DJ James highlighting that given that 4 starters and a key sub, Conte Willian, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and Rudiger have not played. Chelsea's in fine shape. Imagine having a full-strength team this preseason. There were a few others who were thinking now that we'll finish in 7th, 8th, maybe even 10th after what they saw in preseason. I don't know if I feel the exact same way. I think I understand, and I think the challenge is, do we have the right expectations for what the start of the season is going to look like, which is going to be a little disjointed, still some level of experimentation, try to figure out best players like Rudiger getting back into fitness, Willian finally arriving back at Cobham. There's plenty that's going to have to go on still, and why I'm still confident around a top 4 finish personally. I know, Nick, you probably saw something different in preseason and maybe feel a different way.
Yeah, I mean, so the extrapolation of preseason results into what a real Premier League test is, it's just not. There's nothing to really do there. I think what you try and do in preseason is assess, kind of player fitness and, positive or negative trend lines that could impact your season plus or minus a place or two, right? Like, I would say on the positive side of this, Mason Mount, Ross Barkley really stepping up. That's really great. And you love to see people given a clean slate, they step up and perform. On the negative side, I think the tactical elements that Frank is trying to add to this team are not embedded yet. I don't think there's any way they really could be. This team is coming off of being drilled to do one thing last year. They're having to do a few different things. Players are learning how to arrive late and score goals in the box. I think there's a lot of the work that will be done in September, October, November will set the stage for whatever's going to happen in February and March. And we all know that's when the Premier League kind of moves. So I'm still pretty confident that we're going to finish outside of the top 4. I don't think we necessarily have the horses, especially up front, to score a bunch of goals. But I've been very excited, in the last few matches to see Pulisic interchanging better with his teammates and learning their traits and skill sets. And, it's really just finding someone up top, and it's finding a defense that doesn't have mental lapses. And maybe I could be talked into something else, Brandon.
Well, I mean, from a confidence standpoint, I've been on record. I am so impressed with how the team is reacting to, realistically, a summer of mass change and new directions, not really any new players, and so overall with this preseason, I'm happy. I didn't really think about it at Tall Chief 42's tweet above, the fact that we really didn't have Conte. Willian, who we know he has 2 sides, right? It just depends on how consistent he'll be. Then you look at the fact that Callum Hudson-Odoi it's the classic, it'll be like a new signing when he comes back from injury. Ruben, around mid-year will be a boost no matter what. And then bringing Rudiger back, just having him back will, if nothing else, hopefully make things more competitive for that back line, which is important. And so I think that the fact that you have 5 players at that level coming back into the team actually makes me feel good. I was kind of thinking about, I was listening to like the Sky Sports Transfer Talk podcast nonsense. I don't know why I do to myself. And they were just talking about how Everton with Moise Kean is like a really good team. And I'm like, but are they? Because like I compared to Chelsea, and I was like, they really don't have defenders like Aspie and David Luiz and even their midfielders, right? They're just workhorses. That, they have Sigurdsson, but like it's not like they have even a Kovacic and a Jorginho and a Conte and all these things. I still felt like, we're definitely a competitive team, way more competitive than I gave us credit for in the Premier League. Again, where I have concerns is going to be our depth, right? And the cup competitions and balancing Champions League with the league. And I think that's where my concerns creep in a little bit. But, I'm still hopeful that we can be competing for top 4 this season. So I'm optimistic about it. I don't think it's necessarily given, not that it ever is, right? But I feel like making top 4 would be a success this season, and then hopefully Lampard can build off it going into next season.
Yeah, I think you're right on those points, and just making sure that we have a thoughtful plan around what we're going to go out and try to accomplish this season. I think, again, realism in the circumstances that we didn't sign anybody, realism in the fact that a ton of players are still injured, which sometimes can be really great. I mean, you look at, the one time Tom Brady was suspended for 4 games at the start of the season, comes out, looks super fresh heading into the tail end of the season, which I know Nick was really excited about. So now you got some players that are going to come in, month, 2, 3, 4 months into the season and be like an injection into the arm of Chelsea and what Frank is capable of doing. So I think that point, in terms of just inspiring some confidence, inspiring some hope, is where I am most excited. But I think where Nick draws a really good point is that the striker situation is definitely the biggest question mark that holds me back from being like over the moon, like this is going to be the best possible season ever.
At least Dybala turned down Man United. And if they ship out Lukaku, that helps us. Obviously, Arsenal can't help themselves from signing attacking players. Obviously, with publicly known Chelsea fan Nicolas Pepe going there. Look, Batshuayi hasn't really grabbed it, the position by the horns around it. Nick Giroud always has a streakiness to him, and we know that he's actually more of a setup striker than he is just a pure finisher himself, which is good because it looks like Barkley, Mount, Pedro, and Pulisic are all ready to score some goals. And then Tammy is understandably young. Like, he's still fitting into that stuff as well. So I guess you say the back line and the forward spot are probably our biggest areas of concern.
I am not worried about Giroud. I think everyone knows that. I am, like, from a pace of play standpoint, what we're not getting from Tammy is essentially a guy who's willing to hold up, who's willing to wait for people to get in, and then for the attack to move forward together. That's where Giroud, to me, is an invaluable asset, and I think why he'll be a locked-in starter this season. Then you're talking about a back line who might get Rudiger back sooner rather than later, who might get, David Luiz to have an absolute barn burner of a season. I think you're still a little bit at risk back there if they are not connected to the midfield, and that is, it's not something that I'm gonna over worry about or just put too much stock in right now. But I think I'm probably more worried about the back line than I am the strikers in.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think if our concern is that we might score less goals or might struggle to score some goals, one thing that you could do to help offset that just a touch is be a little bit more resolved in defending appropriately and reducing the amount of goals that you concede. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a multitude of games that this season are decided by a single goal, where we're finishing 1-0 victory, 0-0 draw, 1-0 loss. Like, I could see that happening for large patches of the season as we look to figure out, like, how are we going to produce the maximum number of goals from a couple of players like Pulisic, like Pedro, like Mount, like Barkley, who do want to score. I think that's where my thought process is. If we don't know yet where the goals are going to come from, we don't know who that striker is, and we have a little bit of a concern there, just be focused on getting really, really good and not giving up stupid chances to minimize the impact.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. Like, look, you either go full Barcelona and just commit to trying to score 5 goals a game, or you know, I think you're a little bit more cautious maybe, and that's okay. Like, again, if we come out of this first game with United with a result, I'm good. Knowing that Leicester at home is not going to be a cakewalk either. Like, they're pretty good. So again, like, if I was doing this, and I think everyone's happy that I'm not the manager of Chelsea Football Club, my word would be kind of just play within yourselves, play together, and have a collective team spirit that's really hard to overcome. Knowing that there is enough talent and goals in this team if all of that works together, Brandon.
I mean, the concern though is if you just like ball up versus what we've done the preseason, the opposite could happen, that you kind of kill off your attack as well, and then you don't have goals to rely on. So it's obviously finding that balance. And, you know, if we could do it, we would be getting paid millions, you know, to do it, but we're not. So that's where Frank is going to kind of have to balance between and see. But it's you know, it's a I don't know. It's Chelsea. Once the Premier League season starts, it's a different game too, right? The game faces come on. It's not preseason. You're not messing around. You know, it just, the mentality is different and things change. In preseason, you still know that you can go try some things that you wouldn't normally try in an actual competitive match. Okay, well, now we're going to get to the competitive match. Less risks are going to be taking. A lot more focus is going to be had, and it can all change. So I'm on board with that. Anything else you guys want to touch on from this match that maybe we didn't talk about?
No, there wasn't a whole lot to talk. I mean, this was a dud for me. Dan, I don't know how you felt about it.
Well, just the video quality. Someone made a comment to us online that it looked like what your legal streams look like if you're starting to watch the game in the actual professional ESPN broadcast of it. So it was a little bit of a visual aberration, as well as a bit of just a struggle to watch through. But again, we made it to the end of the preseason, which is an exciting thing, because now the matches actually start to matter, which is important.
Welcome back, NBC. Am I right? Let's go.
Not buying Gold Pass. Dan.
Sure you are. Of course you are.
Dan.
They already have your money, dude. They've already deposited. You've already deposited in their account. They've backed up the Brinks truck to every Chelsea fan's home, and they're just like, put it in. Come on.
I hate them for that. Dan, your man of the match poll, while dumb, is accurate.
Well, I broke with tradition. I had to, because there was some summer action going on there from Sommer, and he played brilliantly to keep out some goals that should have gone in on Chelsea's side. Just on another day, he's not blocking a couple of those shots that should have been converted. Mount, as a Chelsea player, was the highest, 31%, Pulisic with 12%, and then other was 1%. Not many people gave a different name, though, because I think we had to tip our hats to the goalkeepers union, to Sommer, for his brilliant game.
It was quite obnoxious. While they weren't all great finishes, they were definitely not easy saves, and he just continued to be in the right place, unfortunately. So that's kind of it. All right. But anyways, that's it. I mean, this is the end of preseason. All right, so now we have to transition to full-on Premier League mode. Manchester United kicking off the season, going to be intense. Also have the development squad and the U23s are starting play. The women are counting down to their first match, obviously getting to play at Stamford Bridge at this season as well. It's here. It's all coming at once. No way to just do it other than go all in. So I hope you've all enjoyed your summer. It's time to get back into it. It's going to be fantastic. So that is it for us today. Thank you all so much for listening. You are amazing and fantastic. Tweet at us, Instagram, comment, Facebook, text, email, whatever. Discord, we'll talk to you there. But we want to have the discussion going all season. So until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.